Hello, Al Pals. This is Big Al. Welcome to Big Al Presents a three for one, three reviews in one video. Why not? Let's give it a try. DC League of Super Pets, Brad Pitt's Bullet Train, and the Netflix romance Purple Hearts. I know you're snickering at that last one, but you all know I am a Hallmark romance movie fan, so I like to take in a romantic film every now and then. Before I go any further, caution, there may be some spoilers ahead. If you don't want to know anything about any of these films, you might want to turn back now. Come back after you've seen them to see if you agree with what I thought about them. Now that that's out of the way, on to the reviews. DC League of Super Pets. Finally, Crypto the Superdog and Ace the Bat Hound meet up in the cinema, and it's about time. I'm actually surprised that it's taken this long to do a film with these characters. And I will say it is a lot more enjoyable than the ones with their human counterparts did several years back in that other film. But this one, starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Kevin Hart providing the voices, is much, much better for the soul, I think. I'm actually surprised it's taken this long to get these characters on film. You would think that this would have written itself way back in even the 80s and 90s. I'm actually surprised that it took this long. I will say that the film is enjoyable. It is entertaining. The highlight of the film, I believe, is the vocal talents of Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Kevin Hart playing Crypto and Ace, respectively. These two actors have an incredible amount of chemistry and rapport with each other. And when they join forces, even just their voices, I think it really adds to the enjoyment of a film. Also, with Kate McKinnon providing the voice of Lulu, the megalomaniacal guinea pig who brings orange kryptonite into the world, which is how the super pets gain powers. I think she does a marvelous job. John Krasinski playing Superman, and not just Superman, a Superman with red tights. It's so wonderful to have Superman back in his red tights, at least this time. Keanu Reeves providing the voice of Batman, and though it is the broody Batman, that's fine. Keanu Reeves is always fun in almost anything he does. I will say it's not a perfect film. Some of the jokes, I think, don't quite land as smoothly as some would have liked. And the biggest issue I have with this film, if you're going to bring in the Justice League, which they do in this film, beyond Superman and Batman, we get Wonder Woman, we get Cyborg, we get Flash, and yes, we get Aquaman, who is being morphed into Momoa type Aquaman. But that aside, if you are going to bring in Green Lantern, why are you bringing in Jessica Cruz? Why that Green Lantern? The lamest of all Green Lanterns. Of course, a lot of people will say the social agenda, diversity, whatever. Just a very poor choice for that uh, hero to be introduced when you've got four much better choices. I mean, how awesome would it have been to see Jon Stewart introduced? And even if you don't want to use Hal Jordan or uh, Kyle Rayner, bring in Guy Gardner and have Keanu Reeves Batman go all John Wick on him. That would have been awesome. Just just a thought though. And speaking of social agenda messaging stuff, they do bring in a same-sex couple. They pointed out, is there a reason they needed to be same-sex? I know some people will say there's no reason that they couldn't have been same-sex, but it just seems, everything like that just seems suspicious these days, like they're trying to shoehorn in something for an agenda, and it just looks suspicious at any time now. If you're going to do it, try to be a little more organic with it. It just seemed like it was shoehorned in. But ultimately, though, the biggest issue I have, the wrong Green Lantern. I took off a full star just for that. 3 stars. I almost went 3.5, but like I said, some of the jokes just didn't land for me, and there was a pacing issue. It just felt like there were segments in the film that just plotted a little bit before they really got to something that was really fun. But still, I can recommend it. 3 stars out of 5. Still a solid film. Highly recommended to many people, I think. But if you do have problems with those issues that I brought up, especially Jessica Cruz, it may not be your cup of tea. But I enjoyed it, so I do recommend it. Next up is Brad Pitt's Bullet Train. Brad Pitt is playing an asset who is tasked with taking the place of another person who was supposed to be given this assignment. At the last minute, they couldn't do it, so Brad Pitt steps in. He pretty much just has to get a briefcase off of a bullet train that had been set there by some people. Of course, there's a lot of money in it. But things go wrong, and it does turn into quite a ride on the bullet train. Brad Pitt is charming and somewhat funny, although jokes seem weird coming out of his mouth. I think he plays a better straight man than he does delivering the comedic line. Uh, but I think for the most part, I'll give him a pass on it. I think he did an admirable job, though. Like I said, some of the things he was saying just kind of sounded weird coming from Brad Pitt. Uh, but that's that's one of those your mileage may vary on it. Uh, it's got a great cast. Aaron Taylor Johnson and Brian Tyree Henry play a couple of foster brothers known as Tangerine and Lemon, respectively, which I I think was funny. To me, they kind of steal the movie. They actually have kind of an interesting relationship. Joey King playing a character known as the Prince, uh, being a very intriguing character on her own. Bad Bunny shows up. For those who know Bad Bunny, I really don't know Bad Bunny all that much, but he does pop up in this film, and he's pretty interesting for the time that he is on the film. I think it has a lot of great action sequences. Cinematography is great. The storyline is solid with some very interesting plot twists. It is enjoyable, but it does go on a little long, and there are those drag points that do kind of slow the process down a bit. I really wanted the action sequences to kind of keep going. And even though, yes, it's good to take a breath, I think they not only gave you the breath, but your heart rate goes down and you kind of relax before the next thing. And I just think it was too long a time between uh, action sequences. Just once again, my thing. And like I said, just some of the jokes seemed out of character. Uh, didn't quite work for me. There are some great cameos in it, I will say. And overall, it is a really enjoyable film, especially very intriguing. Like I said, the plot was very intricate and well thought out. It is a very interesting storyline with great characters, just an odd weirdness here and there and some pacing issues. I give it a solid 3 stars. Uh, like I said, Brad Pitt, as good as he was, it almost seems like there may have been a better casting choice. He's not at all bad in the film. He does the best he can with what they gave him. I'm just not sure he should have been the main choice. I think a Ryan Reynolds might have done a better job, someone in that vein, someone who has a great comedic timing as well as a good action uh, credibility. Just just my thoughts. And if you're wondering about some of the cameos, Ryan Reynolds is one of them. Uh, and but yeah, 3 stars. I enjoyed it. I say if you like a good action comedy with a good plot, it's definitely worth checking out. Purple Hearts, Netflix romance. I love a good romance. Is this a good romance? Yes and no. I will say I liked the actors in this film, Sophia Carson and Nicholas Galitzine. I think they do a really good job with their characters. I think they have good chemistry with each other. Not the best chemistry, but definitely better than some other films I have seen in my time. My biggest issue with the film is that they shoehorn in so much social messaging. She is a hardcore liberal, he is a hardcore conservative, and they butt heads continuously. And they're always talking about all kinds of different issues, not just one or two things pop up. You got big pharma, you have the military, you have immigration, you have uh, uh, us being in the Middle East. It just seems it just went on and on. There was a lot of preaching going on, a lot of, and it just got old and it got in the way of the enjoyment of the romantic story, which I actually think was a pretty decent story. You have a woman who, and here's where the big pharma thing comes in, cannot afford the insulin that she needs to survive. So she ends up marrying a man who is in the military so that she can get the benefits of being a military wife and he can get the extra money for having a wife at home. And he needs the money because he's got to pay off some drug dealer guy when he wasn't quite as decent a person as he was before he joined the army. So you have all this stuff going on. A lot of that stuff I thought made for a very interesting storyline, but the continual bashing of heads against all this uh, agenda stuff just got annoying, which really did affect my enjoyment of the film. I think if you had taken out all of that or just made it little a little less obvious that they were fitting this in, it could have served this movie a lot better. So basically, for me, it was a tale of two films. You have the social agenda train wreck versus what was quite frankly a very good romance with two interesting characters despite their differences of opinion, which just, it could have been written better. Using that difference of opinion to kind of spark with each other more rather than flamethrow with each other. And that's kind of sounded like what it was about. So I was wondering, it's like, how did they fall in love? Because obviously they were always yelling at each other and always mad at each other. But they do show their this tenderness that does crop up between them. I just think that the arguments, they just took it a little too far, and it did affect my enjoyment of the film. So, is it a recommend? It's not so much a recommend, but I'm not going to bash it. It's definitely right down there right in the middle for me. 2.5. That I almost went 2 stars. I gave it the half because Sophia Carson is a lovely actress with a beautiful voice, and she does sing some very good songs in this film, and that eked it up a half a star for me easy. So I leaned a little on the positive for that one. So that's Purple Hearts. Your mileage will vary on this one, I think, depending on your ability to let things wash over your back and let them go away or rise above it. I'm pretty good at it, but it did get to me. So a lot of people know that I'm pretty easygoing with a lot of stuff, but this is like ignoring a fire alarm that's going off all night. It just got a little grinding on the nerves. I hope you enjoyed these quick little reviews of these films. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, Big Al Presents, I really hope you do so. More reviews, rewatches, and rambles in weeks and months to come. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And share it to anyone out there who you think might get something from it. I could always use new Al Pals. Anyone who likes my channel, I consider you an Al Pal. And more of you, the better. I could use as many as I can. Who couldn't use more pals in the world? Whatever you do decide to watch, though, be it DC League of Super Pets, or Bullet Train, or even Purple Hearts, I really hope you enjoy it, because that is the most important thing if you're enjoying what you are watching. Never give up on anything that brings joy into your life. I hope everyone has a wonderful time, and until next time, take care.